right, good afternoon. It is 12:31. Welcome back. It is still the midday show on yours truly, Lagos Talks 91.3. Welcome to your home of conversations. Speaking about conversations and delightful ones at that, it is time for parenting today. Now, we know that when it comes to parenting, it is a never ending job, one that entails a lot of responsibility and knowledge. Of course, no one is perfect when it comes to that, but thankfully, we have an expert, someone who's going to be making this easier for us. A lot of us that are clueless. Yes, there is an expert, someone who I like to call Global Moms, the CEO of Global Moms. However, she is the CEO of Lagos Moms. But guys, my lawyer has served her papers. She's about to sign. All right, so yes, welcome to the show, Parenting Today. I'm here with Miss Yetty Williams, the CEO of Lagos Mom.
Hello, Paula.
All right, and happy belated birthday.
Thank
Her birthday
you.
was on Sunday, so it was Easter fiesta. What else? Birthday desta. I'm joking. And she's here as well with her beautiful daughter, one who's really smart and cute, and she's so well composed. Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right, that's nice. My name is Paula Chine. Today we're going to be talking about what it takes to raise kids, and not just children, but children who do have empathy. Miss Yeti, welcome to your show. It is your show, truly, and
Thank
please,
you,
I
Paula.
would love for us to dive right in.
Yeah. Thanks. So I picked this topic because I think there was something I came across recently about Kindness Day or something around kindness, and I just thought, the world can never have too many kind people. And especially in what's going on, no matter where you live in the world, there's something going on that's questionable, that makes you wonder what is happening, either from the leaders or from society. There's so many things going on. And we always say that, families are the bedrock of society. The people that are in government, that are leaders today, they all came from a home, they all came from a family. And it's the families that create also the culture, the systems that we live in. So if we feel that we've all moved away from kind leaders, kind people, how do we start to say, what do we need to tweak? And empathy, for me, I particularly like what empathy means, because it's not sympathy. Right? Sympathy is feeling sorry for somebody, saying, hey, yeah, I feel sorry for you. Empathy is actually putting yourself in somebody else's shoes and saying that I understand where you're coming from, or I empathize with what you might be going through. And because I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to understand where you're coming from. I don't have all the answers. I'm not always right. If we can start having more of that mentality, I feel that people in general will be kinder and more compassionate. And when we're now raising children in this digital dispensation, digital world, where the citizenship that is required nowadays to be a digital citizen, it's not based on where you're born.
True.
If I ask you where you're from, you tell me where you're from. If I ask you, you're a citizen of where, you tell me where you're from, right? However, when it comes to the digital world and what we call digital citizenship, when I talk a lot about, responsible digital citizenship, raising children in a digital world, all of those things, what are the characteristics of being a citizen of the digital world? What are the characteristics? It's not based on where you're born. It's borderless. Anybody is part of that world. There's billions of people that are connected online. So if we're then raising children in a world where they are seeing everything, they are seeing all this bad news coming through, they are seeing leaders who are acting out and behaving anyhow, and they are supposed to try to raise the children to have values, right? It can be a bit difficult, because you're like, what are we we're not even able to say that, the people in authority necessarily know better or are doing better. So how, with all of that noise, do you create a scenario where your children still have empathy for other people, especially in a world where there's no limit? Anybody can join an online world. Anybody is part of the digital world. And some of the things I will talk about a little bit more is the fact that when you are behind a screen, you tend to think that the person on the other side is not a human being.
Wow, that's so true. Because people troll people. They make very mean comments, not taking into consideration the fact that this
It's a
person has
person.
feelings.
It's a person. And that's why we have a lot of keyword warriors now. What's a
Hmm.
keyboard warrior? I will just type whatever I want. I don't care how it's going to affect you. I don't care what it's going to do to you, your mental health, your peace of mind, your self esteem. I really don't care. I'm behind the screen. I can do what I want to do. I can say what I want to say. And nobody needs to know who I am. And sometimes they're even bold enough to say, yeah, it's my handle. I said that. But usually in person, sometimes they don't match. A lot of times they don't match that screen
No,
behavior. They
no,
can
at
be all
all.
bold, and it's almost like having two personalities online. Always called this inhibition effect. I can't say anything. I can act anyhow. When I'm online, I'm alter ego is showing up. When you're now seeing you in person, you're now like
Timid and
timid.
calm.
So, it's really about, okay, so what does that mean in everything that we've said? Is, okay, how do we now raise children in a world where there's a barrage of all sorts that they're seeing online? There's no filter,
Okay.
but they're still young. They're still trying to make sense of the world. They're like, if he could do it, if this leader could do it, if this person in this particular celebrity did it and got away with it, so what's the big deal?
What stops me?
What stops me from doing it? So it comes back to, as a mom, as a dad, in the home environment, caregivers, how do you raise children who have empathy? And that's why I say empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy is reactive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, speaking about sympathy and empathy, right? It is easy for it's somewhat a thin line, and some
Yeah.
people get things mixed up. However, when it comes to empathy, what does it really do for a child?
Right.
As regards communication with their peers, with adults, does it tend to enhance their communication and their perception of the world around them? Or, on the other hand, do you think it kind of shields them away from the ugliness of the world sometimes?
So, empathy for a child is a very good question. And what does it do for a child to have empathy? That's the child that understands that my words carry weight. It's not
Beautiful.
nice for me to say
Beautiful.
mean things to people. Whatever you say can hurt somebody. There's a video I saw recently that was really good. It was a mom sitting with a child, and she was trying to teach her children about kindness. So she showed them a paper, or she was holding a paper, and she told the children to say nasty words. Just throw out any kind of mean words. So the kids were throwing out all kinds of words, and every time they said a mean word, she would crinkle the paper and crinkle the paper and crinkle the paper. So when they were done saying all these mean words, like, oh, you're so stupid, you're ugly, look at you, you're not good. When they finished saying all those words, she now tried to smoothen out the paper and held it up and showed them and said, is this paper as smooth as it was when we started? She said, no. She said, look at what all your words have done to this paper. This is like a human being. If you say mean words and harsh things to them, you're not thinking about the effect. But this paper can never be smoothened out again to be what it started with. And I thought it was such a heavy,
Wow, that is
it was so deep but so profound that, you know what. And then when we talk about what did I say earlier, keyword warriors who are behind their screen, is you're not really thinking. It's like there's no pausing. There's some things I can never say to somebody in front of them, but you might say it online if you haven't processed. All right, empathy means, if I say this, how does it make this person feel? This is not a nice comment to make. Even if I feel this way, does that mean I should go and type it on the person's page or make the comments? So empathy is essential, actually, I feel, in the world that we live in today, because a lot of people don't pause before they post. They don't pause before they comment.
Just saying how people just get on their computers, their devices, and type the wrongest thing. However, do you think these people are victims of a non-empathic,
Right.
upbringing? Perhaps
Right.
they haven't been nurtured, or they don't know better, or is this just some of an outlet, like a vent for them?
It's a mix of things, and even in person. So, for example, let's even go away from empathy for a little bit. When you look at somebody who's a bully,
True.
why is that person a bully?
Perhaps.
Many times when you look at it, it's upbringing. It's the fact that they were victims of being bullied themselves. So sometimes their defense is to, if I become a bully, nobody can bully me, right? Some of them is upbringing. Some of them it's not being able to manage their emotions. Emotional regulation is really important. We all have emotions. We all get angry. We all get upset. We're happy. There's so many emotions. It doesn't mean that you have the right to act out
On those emotions.
based on those emotions. How you feel is how you feel. Something triggered that. That was something that happened. But it's your thoughts about the thing or or the situation that happened that leads to your emotions, that then leads to your behavior. So the same thing could happen to you and me. So for example, maybe I call somebody and they don't pick up. Depending on how we're wired, I could either think, oh, maybe that person is busy right now and can't talk to me. Somebody else thought process was like, hey, they must be avoiding me.
So different views.
Exactly. So that thought of the situation is neutral. It's the thought you have about it. And you now add on top to that thought the emotion you put behind it. So for somebody like me, in this scenario we've said, I can say, maybe they're busy right now, they can't talk to me. It's fine, I'll try them again, and then maybe I'll send them a message. This other person who's thinking, hey, they're probably avoiding me, is already defensive at that point.
And then by the time they get across to whoever it is, there's
it's
tension.
like, you're avoiding me. Or they should now happen to go to the person's social media and they see one story the person has shared showing that they are living the life. So you're there thinking, oh, I even phoned you and you couldn't be bothered to pick me up. But here I see that you are, at the beach living. Do you see how the thing can just trigger that person who might not be able to manage their emotions could suddenly then go and put a nasty comment. Some people, they'll be ignoring phone calls, but they're out there having fun. Do you see how that's spiral?
And one or two other people will just aggravate it.
Exactly.
They'll jump on and it's, they'll start giving their own opinions, even if they weren't part of it.
Just because they themselves were triggered by that comment and you don't know what state they themselves are in, they can jump on. So I think empathy is really an ability to pause. And I feel that it's something that a lot of us are missing nowadays, is that ability to pause and think, okay, I saw this online. Do I have to immediately like it? Do I have to immediately comment? Have I even checked that what this person has shared is accurate before I'm resharing, before I'm passing it on? So empathy for me is really a necessity because we live in a world where everything is at the palm of our fingertips and I can type or say anything to anybody and there's almost nothing
the person can do. And then now I want to speak about this from the eye of a kid or a child. A lot of these kids are pressured into making these comments and just being a part of the hate online. And that's because they want to be accepted. Perhaps they belong to a group of friends. They say, oh, there's this girl, we're going to take her out, we're going to make it hell for her. They're writing these things. It's not really them. You mentioned having different identities, one online and one in person. However, this child is under pressure to be accepted. So they go on and do this. But then their conscience is not happy. What would you say to that type of child, especially if it's some parents notice their kids are different around their friends, they're different online? What would you say to a parent or a child who's listening as regards this?
I think being authentic is very important, and we use big words, but I really believe it's important to break it down, essentially to like a 10-year. If you're explaining authenticity to a 10-year-old, what does that mean? It means, being who you really are when nobody else is looking. It means, you think about what you're doing and the effect it's having on yourself and other people. So, once again, leading with empathy is what? It's almost like, I keep saying parenting is like a curriculum you have. If a child wants to go and do WAEC, you don't suddenly put them in Form 6 and say that's the exam. There's a syllabus that's been broken down per year from Form 1 to Form 6. So that by the time the child is taking the exam at Form 6 stage, they have covered the curriculum enough to be ready to take the examination. So if you use that to work backwards and say, okay, if I want to raise an adult who has empathy, who thinks about other people, but also has self-esteem to think of themselves, what does that mean and how is that modeled in the child's life from the time they are 2 or 3 years old all the way through to, let's say, your passing mark on parenting is 18. Let's just pick 18.
Okay.
Right? So that's what, let's say, a 14-year period from 2 to 18 where you are consciously thinking, what am I installing? And I call it installing. You're installing in them.
Yeah.
It's essentially, you're installing certain things because it's later, it says, train a child in the way they should go so that when they get old, they will not depart from it.
That statement is so true. I feel like it's one of this. Every statement in the Holy Book does carry weight, but like that just summed up parenting from a biblical perspective.
Yeah, it says train them up because they will not depart. So if you train them in the right, they will not depart. If you train them in the wrong, they will not depart. So it's kind of heavy because you're like, what? It says train them up in the way they should go, so that when they grow up, they will not depart. But that the way they should go, that's where the work then becomes. What is that should? The way they should go. What does that mean? Okay, empathy, kindness, compassion, and all of those things, right? So I think a child who is pressured to show up a certain way. Yes, we have the digital world now, but
True.
before the digital world, there were children who would just join the bully. As well, even on the playground, there will be the bully will have his own partners. Will have his security
True.
guards that are part of his bullying team.
That are helping him bring over the
Exactly.
victim.
You will have some children that are bystanders. An active bystander is somebody who says that's not right.
And would try
Stop
to
doing that.
stand up for whoever's being
You
bullied.
have some that will run away. You have some that will abandon the friend that's being bullied because they are fearful of. So all of these things don't change because we're now online. We're just saying that being online means that all of that is brought into a almost like a global stage where any and anybody can participate. So parents, the work still lies with parents, and the work still lies with a child. At the end of the day, a child too can choose how they want to go, but it's our job to put as much as we can the installation so that when they face different scenarios, they're able to say, oh, you know what, we talked about this. This is what I should do here.
This is wrong.
This
I
is
wouldn't do this.
And if it's wrong, I can just step away. Like I've taught my children sometimes, you can be in a group somewhere online where they're saying things they shouldn't be saying. What can you do?
Yeah, so I want to speak with her, right? I know. Hi, sweetie. She's so pretty. Oh my gosh. Oh, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're so making her head swell.
Well, it's true now. You hear that a lot, so she knows that. So how does it feel? I know right now you're a teen, right? You're a
Yes.
teenager, and you're at that point where you have friends who have different views on life, different outlooks, people who have different characteristics. How do you feel when perhaps you're with a group of friends and you're all having fun? However, one of them picks on a girl, or she's just, saying mean things about one girl and the others join in on the conversation. How do you react? How do you handle it? Especially knowing that your mom is a parenting expert and, you have a knowledge not to do this type of thing. How do you react have you been in that situation before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and I know it's typical in like foreign high schools, right? It happens.
Anyway, I don't think it's just for
No, because she, currently. where
Gotcha.
she is. So, I want to know, how does it feel? How do you deal with it? Because the pressure is really huge. How do you deal with the pressure? Just to be a part of the gang, not to be a party pooper, and to just join in on that hate.
Okay. So, first off, I'll tell them to stop. Like, I'll just whisper to one of them and be like, why are you guys doing this? Like, what she do to you? And then, like, they'll now start thinking about what they're doing. And then they'll tell the lead person. And then they will continue. But then they'll start thinking about, why am I actually doing this? And then once they're maybe done talking, insulting her, then there's usually a friend I'm with that doesn't engage in the insulting as well. So both of us would go and talk to her and ask her, is she okay? Because, like, she didn't do anything, so just make sure she's okay. But then after we do that, we'll also talk to the person who was insulting her and be like, why are you doing this? Like, it's not that cool. She didn't do anything, so, like, just calm down. And yeah.
Oh, that's so nice, so simple and so straightforward. It's not so easy. Sometimes are you tempted, like, to give into this pressure, like when it's staring you in the face, even if it's not just talking bad, but perhaps like viewing things that, your mom won't be happy about, viewing them online when she's not there with your friends. How do you, how don't you give into that pressure? How don't you bow to pressure when you're with your friends and your mom's not there?
I always just think of the possibility of being caught and what will happen to me if I was caught. So
it serves as a deterrent.
Yeah.
You don't do it. Oh,
because
that's amazing.
if I do, then it'll just lead to more consequences that I don't really need. So if I did it and then someone now caught me, then I wouldn't be able to go out. What did I really do it for?
So wow. All right. Mom, you're raising an expert.
I purposely wasn't looking at her. She was talking because I was just like, just speak freely. These are questions I've even never asked her. So
really,
I never thought to ask what what I mean.
But isn't this such a proud mom moment? It is.
I know she's going to make fun of me after that. Yes, I know you're happy with what I said.
I like that she's like your friend. She's like, pick a mommy. It's so cute. But what would you tell other teens who are listening and perhaps they feel like, oh, the only way I can be accepted into a gang of cool friends is to act mean, say things to people, throw things at people. Basically, I have to be accepted, and for me to be accepted, in order rather to be accepted, I have to act out of character. What would you tell a teen who's currently rethinking their whole, actions and words, everything?
So you're saying if the teen wants to join a
Yeah.
friend group that's me,
Yeah, like
Well,
if they feel like they want to, be accepted, they want to be one of the cool kids. So in order to be the cool kid, all the other cool kids are mean and they're bullies and they treat people wrongly, other kids. So in order to be one of them, hang out with them, I have to act some type of way which I'm not happy about, but I feel like that's the only way I can be close to the cool kids.
Well, maybe the cool kids aren't mean all the time, but
Mm.
they are mean sometimes. So I'll tell them to get a friend that's like them, that's nice as well. Then maybe both of them join the friend group. But when their friends are engaging in the mean activities, then there will be that partner they have that's nice as well, and then they wouldn't engage in it.
Wow, I love that. Ooh, wow, wow. Okay, I see ya. All right, that's so lovely. Thank you so much. Now, as regards empathy, right, Mom, I want to ask you, what is the worst case of an individual who had no idea how that worked as a child and grew up to become an adult, and these the symptoms, the traits they exhibit because of that lack of empathy. It wasn't shown to them. They had parents who probably provided, disciplined them, but there wasn't a sense of empathy.
Right.
How does it like?
How does it manifest?
Yeah, how does it manifest in an adult? And you can tell that this person might be a victim of this unfortunate incident.
So as an adult, the way it manifests is, does the person have emotional intelligence or not? And an example could even be in the workplace. There are people who have something they call toxic boss. Who just doesn't care. They're like, just get the work done. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how you showed up. What's the excuse? Like those people who just don't have the ability to connect to somebody else on a human level.
So they're very detached.
They're detached. They are maybe aloof. They just, say things anyhow. They don't filter anything. And it's not about filtering because you're inauthentic. I can be upset with you. And I can discuss what the situation that's made me upset. Like, oh, you did this and that upset me. And I think we need to talk about it. Finish. I don't have to attack you. And I keep saying, judge the situation, not the person. So it's raising them. And sometimes hearing them speak and, coming on this radio show together, we have no clue whether or not you're going to ask them any questions, right? So this is not pre-planned. Do you know what I mean? This is just actual, on the spot, what is in there. And for me, this is an example of modeling. So a lot of things I do, I say, I try to model it at home, because for me, authenticity is, if I'm speaking to people and coaching and talking about being intentional parents, and then I'm not doing it with my own, who am I packaging for? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Who are my own first recipients on this? So really, the person who grows up without that emotional intelligence to say, I need to think about how the other person is feeling and thinking. I need to process my words. If I'm upset, does not mean I should lash out. I can ask for a moment. How do I bring down the heightened emotion so that by the time I speak, it is constructive? It is helpful. You can't, we also talk about positive discipline. You're supposed to discipline children when they act out or they don't do what you want them to do. But positive discipline means that you're doing what you're correcting it with the right behavior.
Wow. Right.
So when that is part of you, so as an adult who says, maybe I'm a victim, maybe all my team keeps quitting because of the way I walk them to the bone, and they say I'm hard to them, but I'm just like, just get the work done. One of the things you can do is being aware of it. Awareness for me is usually simple, is along the lines of that pausing before you post online. In the human reaction, physical speaking words is the same process. Let me pause. This thing I'm about to say, is there a way I can say that I can be helpful, kind, and build the person up, even if I'm correcting something they've done that's not right?
So it's like constructive criticism.
Exactly.
All right.
I even call it constructive feedback.
Oh yeah, because
criticism already. So constructive feedback. I see how you did this, but have you considered doing this other way? Because I think the other way that I'm thinking might work better. What do you think about it?
Oh, so you open their eye to the fact that they could do it better in another
and then you
way.
draw them in. What do you think about it? So imagine a child who grows up in that environment of, you did this wrong and this is why I'm saying these are the consequences. What do you think about it? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
You make them realize their action.
You bring them in.
They're better individuals. They know that
exactly.
They shouldn't do this.
And the children, one of the things that I'm kind of, intolerant the word is, if we've discussed something once, twice, 3 times, I've taken all this time to explain it, get your feedback, draw you in, and then it's a continuous behavior, then that is now a choice that you have made, that is how you want to behave. And the conversation usually goes into phase 2.
What is phase 2?
Phase 2 is, all right, so you're choosing to do this.
It's like rebellion.
So explain to me why you're choosing to do this, because we've spoken about it several times. I know this is not because you don't know what is expected. You're choosing to behave this way. Why is that? Which is why in a workplace, there's some staff that just need to go. Because some of them have gone through all the training in the world.
And they won't change.
They just won't change. So that's not about me as a boss being nice or not. That is somebody who has chosen, maybe what you call insubordination, who's just like, I'm not going to do what my boss asks me to do no matter what. And that's a problem. Then this environment is not for you.
Ooh, wow. So if you're dealing with a child perhaps that keeps giving in to pressure and it comes up as rebel, you know what? Let's take this call quickly because this is interesting. Lagos Talks, good afternoon. Hi, good afternoon. What's your name? Oh, Ebuka. Okay, join the conversation.
I truly appreciate your guest, giving, let's say positive parenting. So, Mom, how do you deal with the child, using a cane, do you use cane to correct your child? When they talk about second parents, I remember in our days, not necessarily before God had that instance, maybe count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, thereabouts, cases, then maybe explode anger, or more probably. So, in that case, how to deal with, using cane to correct the child, whereas we talk more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep explaining. Recently I get to, stay with children, have, different share. They will use it to play, as in I will talk, back to the game part. How do you think, one will use it? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. All right.
Yeah,
Mom.
that's a question I get a lot. How do you deal with the cane situation? Are you saying don't spank children at all? I always say it's based on your desires. It's based on what you want. I'm not going to say I've never spanked my children, but it's not my default. It's not my default because I find that sometimes when you're smacking children, many times it's from frustration. See what he also said, when you've talked, then you revert to the cane. So like the cane is to top up. She have been talking, it's not working. Maybe the cane is what will work.
I thought that's what happens at phase 2.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh really?
Oh, no.
So when does it come into play?
I think you need to really balance it. There's nothing wrong with when the child is really young. There's something about that. Bring your hand, tap. Did you do that? What did I say? Fine, but let it be part of a bigger positive disciplining toolkit. I see it as a toolkit. Disciplining is not only punitive. I'm going to engrave that on my forehead.
Africa, we feel like if there's no use of force,
not necessarily. What's punitive? I'm going to punish you. You are going to know today. Today, you will know who's mom and dad in this house.
You know I'm your mother.
You know
the worst I've heard once on a train, and this was not in Nigeria, but this was a Nigerian mom and like maybe a 9-year-old, and she said, I'm the one that gave birth to you. I'll kill you. And nothing will happen. And I was like,
if that one now goes online and it's now killing somebody with cancel culture online because he's used to mommy threatening to kill him in the house.
Someone who should love him is telling him, I'll kill you. So that kind of individual, he won't really see love as important.
Or he's dating and he's not, I will kill you if you talk to another person. That's how they will export it now.
Everyone's killing the other. Hopefully not. But hey, if we have to kill anything, it's lack of empathy.
And I'm not saying it's easy. If it was easy, we would all do it, right? But it's just, for me, it's really about that awareness because our brain is a muscle. So if you want to if you want to get a 6-pack, if you like, get the best fitness coach in the world. If you eat junk and you don't do the exercise, your 6-pack will stay in your brain. It won't move into. So it's the same thing with all of this I'm talking about. It's a process. All right, you know what? I want to be different. Why do I want to be different? What do I want to change? Because you can't tell your brain what you want to do. So, for example, that dad that called, you can't say, I don't want to cane my children again. That's not the process. What will work is for you to say, next time I get to the point where I am frustrated and I want to smack my children, I'm going to think, what could I do instead? Is there another way I could punish them that doesn't include a cane? That is something he can then work towards.
All right, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, time goes by so fast. It is 2 minutes after one. I'm so sorry, but I know for those who are listening, we might not unfortunately have opened up the phone line. So within 2 minutes, let's see if we can do that. If you want to call, ask your questions. Perhaps you have one or two things you're thinking about. Is he came? Is he built? Is he white? No, it's none of them. You can call in and ask Miss Yetty right here. She is in the studio. You can call on 0809 2345 913. You can also call 0809 1913 913 and 01515 1913. Find out how you can be a great parent. Someone here says, Paula, I think it's time for me to give birth. Mrs. Yetty's daughter is just making my head swell. What an intelligent teen. Her mom has definitely raised a gem. Kudos to you, Ma Wale from the island.
Oh,
All right. Yes,
thank you.
Lagos Talks.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. This is all right.
Yeah. Yetty, thank you for that. So, do you think, sorry, let me rephrase it. In Africa or in Nigeria, you see, we pass through a lot of trauma. When they go to psychology, they will ask how was your, training like. So, do you think word of mouth adds more to the trauma these days or can push out them?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Did
so
you get that
much.
question? Do I think word of mouth
Is enough? Like, just
Ah.
talking, is it enough to deter a child from doing what they're doing that's wrong? Because, if we're saying we're taking off any punitive measures.
No. So I think what we need to be clear about when we say punitive measures, I'm saying for me when I say punitive discipline, that means that discipline where you want to inflict pain. You want to inflict pain where that child will
Leave a mark.
feel the pain.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes that pain is in words. Some parents'
Oh.
words kill a child's spirit more than even a cane. You will see some children that grew up with very poor self-esteem, and when you
True.
trace it, their fathers and mothers' words were so harsh.
Do you know I've seen parents who say, "Idiot, useless."
Oh my goodness.
bastard."
They're so stupid. I don't understand how
Yeah, why
parents
would you
use
tell
that
your
on your
child
own
this?
child. So, when he's talking about, is it just speaking? It's when I say discipline does not mean we don't have the time. If not, we'll ask her for some of the types of discipline methods I use.
Maybe she'll join
But
us
it's
on
not-
Zoom. I'm joking.
But it's not only
Okay.
there's so many ways to discipline.
Mm.
For example, what's your child's love language? If your child's love language is one that likes hugs, your discipline could be, you know what, I can't hug you
Oh,
right
like
now because you
Chloe.
know what, do you understand? So it's
Mm.
about being effective. It's about being effective and saying what's going to work, what's going to make this child
temporarily denying them what they love and
in
they're
that
used to
moment,
getting
so that
from
they
you.
understand that, oh, mom or dad are upset
They're
because I did
upset.
something that
Mm.
they can even go away, come back and say, you know what, I realized what I
Sorry.
did earlier wasn't really good and I've thought about it. I'm really sorry about that.
Oh.
You have fixed the issue and then you come for the big hug. That is
Yeah.
that is discipline.
Wow, so much to learn. I'm gonna have 11 kids because of you. I'm gonna give like 6 to you, and I'll keep like 5.
And I'll hand them back to you at
No.
18.
No. They're gonna be yours. I know she'll be a great big sister. She'll be fine.
Yeah, you ready?
Not see her laugh like, no, her laughter is like, Mom, no, we need to leave. Anyways, thank you so much for stopping by. It's always amazing having you here, hearing from you, learning how to be better parents, because we know sometimes we get things mixed up. We live in a society that tells you sometimes, oh, you're not doing enough. You're giving them an easy way. You're spoiling them. And you sometimes might give into that pressure, especially when they do the wrong things. You then begin to question yourself. Thank you for reminding us that indeed it's a never ending journey and we would always learn. We don't always have to do it the hard way.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, for those who are listening and to my friend, the amazing teen, hello. I like the way she sounds like. Please, do you have any last words before your mom closes the show? What would you advise, like any child who's listening right now, as regards just being better kids and, being great children for their parents?
I would say don't follow the crowd. I
Oh.
think be true to yourself. And if you have friends being mean to people, even though you want to be in the friend group, just have someone that you can always go to that's not as mean as them when they're being mean to people. And yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Mom. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. And I think one of the things that I pick up on what she's saying is, you know what, it's about having friends who are similar to your value, your belief system.
Your principles.
Yes, if you have somebody in your circle or circles who has the same belief principles, it's a bit easier. You can't be the lone person saying this is how I am all by myself, but everybody around me is somehow else. It's very difficult, and I feel like I'm learning from her as well. It's being intentional to say, you know what, no matter the group of friends I have, who's the person who's closer to my values, my beliefs,
And
who I can align with. So even when something is not quite right, I have that person who we have similar beliefs to say, you know, this doesn't feel right, Abby. Yeah, we should. Just what I mean, it's like having that person.
Like change begins with you, and then it
and
infects the next person, and it's
Exactly.
contagious. Positive change is contagious.
Positive change. So yeah, thank you. In fact, I learned that one. So thank you, my dear.
You
But-
owe her. Mom.
I owe her. But
so, Mom, to those
yes,
who are listening,
listen.
I want to get across to you. Trust me,
Absolutely.
Lagos Moms is an amazing platform.
Thank
I've
you.
seen her works. You should even, I know she's very much online. Subscribe to her page. Follow her across social media platforms. But you know, I'm not going to do it for her. Let her tell you how to do it.
Yes. So thank you for tuning in. And I always love the messages I get after the radio shows. It's like so many people slide into my DM and ask a question, say something, and say, I heard you online, or I've been listening to you on that show. So I'm really happy to be able to connect with people that way. And for you to find me online, we're at Lagos Moms on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our website is lagosmoms.com. That's our resources, our headquarters for everything parenting. And, you know, if you reach out to me on any of those platforms, you can definitely connect with myself and my team. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. I'm her second daughter. I'm joking, guys, but yes, thank you so much for coming here, Miss Yetty.
Thank you.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank
I hope you
you.
gave your mom a nice birthday gift.
I did.
All right. And you're
Yeah.
a gift as well, so don't worry. Don't try to.